As the Republican candidates head to Nevada, two are making their case as the alternative to Donald Trump, who's built a big orange head of steam. Cruz says he's the one because he's more conservative.
There is now only one strong conservative remaining in this race who can win, and what we're seeing, our game plan from day one was do well in the first four states and consolidate conservatives to go forward into Super Tuesday. I think we're positioned ideally to do exactly that. You cannot beat Trump coming from the left. You cannot beat Trump with a candidate who supports amnesty. It doesn't work. If you come at the left to Trump, you will lose.
But, Ted, Trump beat you with the evangelicals. Those are your people. That's like Dana losing the dog vote. Meanwhile, Rubio is gently telling his foes, last call's over, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
I believe that the sooner we can coalesce, the better we're going to be as a party in general. I mean, and so certainly, but I'm not here to tell him to do whatever he needs to do. It's going to happen one way or another. There's a natural process that's going to take hold. I think the question is the timing.
He's right. It started with 17 people, many doing it for their bucket list. No wonder Trump's ahead. He stood out like a sore tan thumb. And what of Trump anyway? One camp sees him as a golden god on the road to greatness. The second sees the road to Armageddon, a scary spectacle of sentiment over substance. But they're both wrong. It's not awesome or awful. It's just unknown. And there's the rub. Conservatives, as a rule, prefer the known, hence conservative. Trump's the bad boy on the bike. It's a fun ride on the back, but you could crack your head open. By comparison, Rubio's the safe date who gets you home by 10. But like all bad boys, Trump attracts people into his circle because it beats being a loser. But maybe it's time he ditched the mystery for specifics. The only reason not to is if he's got none. That's the problem with bad boys. They get by on being bad. But can that win the general election? Trump wins big with people for telling it like it is. But Rubio wins on electability. As you fret over Hillary or Bernie, it pays to ask which one matters most. All right, let's get to this Rick Tyler stuff. He sent around a false story about Rubio making fun of the Bible when, in fact, he had actually was complimenting the Bible to, Cruz's father. So now Cruz is apologizing and asking for his resignation. Here is Cruz.
I've spent this morning investigating what happened. And this morning, I asked for Rick Tyler's resignation. None of you have heard me throw the kind of insults at Marco Rubio that he throws at me every single day. If other candidates choose to go into the gutter, we will not do the same. Rick Tyler's a good man. This was a grave error of judgment. It turned out the news story he sent around was false, but I'll tell you, even if it was true, we are not a campaign that is going to question the faith of another candidate. Even if it was true, our campaign should not have sent it. That's why I've asked for Rick Tyler's resignation.
And here is the Rubio's camp's comment on this. It says, Rick is a really good spokesman who had the unenviable task of working for a candidate willing to do or say anything to get elected. There is a culture in the Cruz campaign from top to bottom that no lie is too big and no trick too dirty. Rick did the right thing by apologizing to Marco. It's high time for Ted Cruz to do the right thing and stop the lies. All right. So, Dana, was the firing an overreaction, or is this about something else?
I think it is. It was the symptom of a bigger disease, and Cruz was trying to deal with the disease. He didn't have an antidote. I'm going to keep trying to go with that metaphor. But
that metaphor is on life support.
Ever since Iowa,
mouth to mouth,
maybe even a little bit before Iowa, but you really started to notice in Iowa when Dr. Carson said, wait a minute, this dirty trick that Cruz's team played on me cost me votes. And then Trump took up Carson's cause, and then there were other sort of dirty tricks in New Hampshire. So what happened was you had a storyline and a reputation that was building around the Cruz campaign. So if Cruz hadn't fired anybody up to now, I think what the symbolic reason for firing Rick Tyler wasn't just that one egregious thing that they did. It was that he needed a way to try to change the narrative.
Gotcha. Speaking of Trump, Eric, this is what he tweeted regarding this. He tweeted, Wow, Ted Cruz falsely suggested Marco Rubio mocked the Bible and was just forced to fire his communications director. More dirty tricks.
Yeah, dirty tricks. So Ted Cruz started the campaign as the values candidate, right?
Yeah.
And then he came up with that really cool little thing, the bumper sticker, trust.
Yeah,
With
very
Ted.
good.
And it was very good, except the problem was everything he's done took away from that, pointed people to the fact that he wasn't to be trusted. There were a lot of dirty tricks. Donald Trump says lies. I don't know if they were lies or not. I will tell you, I had Rick Tyler on a show last week. I was interviewing him, and I said, when are you going to stop what is perceived to be these dirty tricks, this underhanded campaigning? And he kind of laughed it off and arrogantly said, oh, yeah, right, whatever, moved on. But then in the aftermath of that, there's yet another one. So we've had this fake Bible video that we're talking about. We've had the Ben Carson thing where he said Ben Carson was leaving the race before the Iowa caucuses were done. We've had the Photoshop, and we had the fake. They deny it, but there was nonetheless, someone said Trey Gowdy has switched his allegiance from Ted Cruz to Marco Rubio. The Cruz camp denies they had anything to do with it. But there's a series, there's a pattern, there's an environment. It does come from the top down. It took him an awful long time for Ted Cruz to get rid of whoever was doing this, and hopefully that does put an end to the dirty trickery.
Interesting.
Kimberly, this is Rick Tyler earlier today on America's Newsroom. I'd like you to comment on it.
I'd love to.
I posted it in haste. I should not have done it. I've apologized to Marco Rubio. I apologized to the campaign. And I posted that on my Facebook and also shared it on Twitter, and I'm saying it here. It was a mistake, and I would not knowingly post something I knew to be false.
Kimberly, the internet ensnares all.
It sure does, like a little Charlotte's Web, but dirtier. So he said he's sorry, right? But sometimes sorry isn't good enough. This created the culture and perception that there was, misdeeds, untruths, half-truths, and outright lies happening. And this comes on the heels of the allegations from the Carson campaign that they did this, in fact, to be able to, win in Iowa. So something had to be done, because you even saw after the closet incident where Carson was with Cruz somewhere with a closet that did have furniture in it, I don't know, and that wasn't good enough, right? So now everybody kind of came away from it. So perception is reality in politics in large measure. So people have this kind of idea like, know about that guy. He had to do something to make a public statement to disavow, so that's what he's done. But what's interesting is the party that has been wronged has now come to the defense of the man that supposedly wronged them. Tangled web.
There you go.
Who will hire him next?
I don't know. Juan, maybe. Hey, Juan.
Yeah.
So, what I think he should have been fired, mainly because this is so incredibly stupid. Because who would believe that Rubio would trash the Bible? It's like if somebody sent that your way. A lot of people get tricked by things on the email, stories about Muslim bullets dipped in pork or whatever. So this is obviously like, there's no way that Rubio would ever trash the Bible. How did Tyler not see this?
Well, I think he wants to see. I mean, and he saw it as an opportunity, and and even if Rubio had been joking, if it had been something between him and Rafael Cruz, Ted's dad, he was looking to play it up. The problem in my mind is, I think Rick Tyler's the fall guy. I think that what Eric and Dana have said is, it's what's going on at the very top, right? And so now you get Cruz in position to say, oh, it wasn't me. I am spotless. I am not a sinner. It's that guy over there. Come on.
And that happens in campaigns where you have somebody who is the fall guy or the sacrificial lamb because the candidate needs to make a complete and change so that you can have a different headline in the morning. What I thought was interesting was Rubio's comeback was not the usual Rubio being really Mr. Nice Guy. It was Rubio saying, yeah, the candidate, he's the one who will do anything and say anything to get elected, which I think showed a little bit of life. So in the campaign, you're always dealt cards, and he was dealt this card today with Rick Tyler, and he actually played it very well.
You know who the real fall guy is? Lee Majors.
Can't remember. Yeah.
Lee Majors. We love him.
So Eric, one thing that this could be is people who run businesses leave their web accounts to like assistants and interns, which is ridiculous because it's like the most dangerous thing you could possibly do, right? I mean, like, what if he did?
So what are we equating to? Ted Cruz is running the business, and he left it to his intern, Rick Tyler.
But Rick Tyler is
I mean, Tyler could have had. You know what I mean? Tyler could have had somebody else. I don't know. No, you think he did it?
No, because I think if someone else did it, Tyler would have said, "Look, we apologize. There's a staffer who inadvertently used the wrong video. This was put out there. It was planned. You don't make mistakes about things this big when you take a shot at another candidate, especially when it has the Bible reference in it. You make sure you're ready to go with this. I'm speculating. I could be completely wrong. But someone probably said, hey, Ted, Senator, do you want to do this or not? And he probably had to say, yeah, run with it. Go with it, see what happens.
Yeah.
Look, don't kill me on Twitter if I'm wrong. I'm just guessing this one.
Yeah.
But it's so big. You put the Bible in any commentary. Am I right, Dan? If you go that deep, you would want the candidate to be aware of it.
Well, right. Like, I think I would say the Bible, also calling somebody Hitler or a Nazi. Like, there are just some things that you don't do.
Don't trash Dianetics.
And also, the interns have taken a lot of abuse.
Yes, that's true.
Right. No.
Well,
the most important thing is what you're saying is he had that car, Dana, and he said, you know what, I'm not going to help rehabilitate. The campaign still has the taint on it, so don't trust this guy.
That's smart.
That's very smart.
Still a three-man race after this?
Yes,
There's actually
three-legged race.
There's actually 5.
Well, but actually, it boils down. But the problem for Cruz is what you said at the very top. So, South Carolina was, it was perfect for him, right, with the evangelicals, and Trump, I think, beat him among them.
Oh, no, he did. He did.
Right. Well, it wasn't huge. Was it huge?
But it's huge for
That's
Trump.
A play on words.
That Trump did it.
Yeah.
And even among people who were very conservative, it was close. So going into these states that are coming up in the South, you would think, oh, if you're Ted Cruz, you're looking to pick up steam. But the fact is, I think that Donald Trump leads in like 10 of these 14 states. Well, that's not possible unless he's doing very well with evangelicals.
Well, Trump won the same share of votes in New Hampshire and South Carolina, and those states are not similar.
True.
I mean,
that's evidence that he's doing
his tail off.
I mean, and he's doing well.
And he won more counties in South Carolina than Huckabee did.
He won every one. He swept South Carolina. It was a proportional state, and he won every single delegate.
And Cruz won none. So where is his path? If you can't win any in a very conservative state, I don't know what that
tells
for him.
I'm not sure if we're talking about campaigns, but the most surprising win for the South Carolina, for the Trump campaign, was the military. The military overwhelmingly voted for Donald Trump, and everyone was worried about some of the comments that he was making was going to hurt him. It didn't.
Yeah, there you go. All right.